Any rate, why don't we just kind of operate as if this is a kind of a Q&A. Do any of you make movies? Any of you making movies? Well, very good. So this will be kind of a very short, simplified Troma Masterclass, because the best way to learn about making movies is to watch them, and we're going to be watching lots of good movies tonight, and some Troma movies also. At any rate, I don't know, do you all have a knowledge of the Troma history and Troma system? And because I'm not so sure that Troma is a household word in Germany. So maybe the first thing is to get a little bit of sense of what Troma is in the, at least in the American film world, or the American industry. And I have a little introduction here, because this is a Troma Masterclass. Troma does not do things the way that most people do. So maybe it's a good idea just to get a sense of who we are. This is Troma's 30th year, and I think by far Troma is the oldest, certainly the oldest American independent movie studio. And Troma's been historically rather significant. For example, in the history of cinema, there has never been a movie studio that has existed for 30 years without ever having had a hit. And as long as I am president of Troma Entertainment, I guarantee you I will continue that unblemished record. You're welcome. Now, any questions about what you've seen, or about the basis of the Troma Film Studios? The basic concept is very low budgets. We make movies very low budget, and we try to aim at the largest demographic of the movie-going public, namely the 16 to 30-year-old elephants. And then we try to put in something that might be commercial in our films. Perhaps a gun, or perhaps a naked person, or perhaps a monster. There are people who go to see every monster movie. Even if it's a Troma movie, somebody will show up at the movie. There are people that go to see every science fiction movie. However, if you make a romantic comedy, unless you put a horror in like Julia Roberts, you are not going to draw anybody. Nobody will show up unless your movie is Big Fat Greek Wedding and Tom Hanks's wife has put in 11 million bucks and Miramax distributes. Romantic comedies are very, very difficult. So you should do what you believe in, but our philosophy at Troma is to try to have some kind of commercial element. If you put a gun in a movie, the people's eyes will go to that scene, at least. They will get their attention. Even if the movie is about a family of raccoons, you give one of them a gun, people are going to be interested for that moment in time. At any rate, maybe we can do a brief survey of some of the ways Troma makes movies here at the Tromanale. And again, it is a great privilege to have Troma honored by its name being in this festival, because Troma is really tried to be more than just a movie company. I've written a couple of books which are there to encourage people to make their own damn movies. And also we run the Troma Dance Film Festival. About 10 years ago, Trey Parker and I were very discouraged by what we saw at the Sundance Film Festival, and so out of that came Troma Dance, which is it's been around for 6 years. It's totally free to the public. You can submit your movies for free. You don't have to pay to submit your movies, and there's no VIP policy. So when it comes to parties or the panels, movie stars don't get to cut into line ahead of us. And any questions now about the Troma and the art movement, and the hope that independent cinema will once again take its rightful place as it had in the 60s and 70s and prior to that? Well, we can look at a few things about pre-production. Maybe there's some things in here about how Troma prepares for a movie. Let's see what we have here. And any questions? Do any of you have questions about the pre-production aspect of making movies?
Yeah, it's always interesting to understand how it's possible to stay free and making a business and good money at the same time.
A very good question. What is your name?
Tanya.
Tanya has asked, do you have a movie here?
Later.
Yeah, later, right. Now I recognize you. Tanya has asked, how do you how do you keep your freedom and also try to make some money and survive. And you know, I have I have lips like a woman, so I am able to fillet many, many people, to give blowjobs to many, many, many people all over the world. I've groveled. You cannot imagine what I have done, what a horrible life I've had. But
How many dicks you suck?
Oh, I lost count. But the lesson that I have learned over the years, over the 30 years of Troma, is you don't compromise your art. To get the money, I will pretty much do anything that doesn't hurt anyone to be able to make a movie, and to sell the movie later on. To get the movie seen, I will do anything other than hurting someone or something that's you know, maybe bad. That's in my conscience. But in terms of the movie itself, I think for me personally, I regret making any compromises, and for a long time now I haven't made any. And the few compromises I have made along the way, I regret very, very much. The other good news about today is, and I think you have to do what's in your heart. I don't think there's any purpose of being in our art world without having the satisfaction of making something that comes from the heart. As Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." And you know, he was the great. He wrote that great book, 101 money-making screenplay ideas, otherwise known as Hamlet. This thing here, not this thing, but this is Juan Carlos. This small item. I think there's a lot of hope with the numeric, with the digital media, because it frees us all. I carry that thing in my briefcase, and we've actually made some movies for nothing, for literally feature-length movies that are almost like home movies, and they actually make some money. We did a movie about the Cannes Film Festival, about how Troma goes to the Cannes Film Festival and how we survive there amidst all the giant devil-worshipping international conglomerates. And with doing guerrilla marketing and street theater, and also trying to promote both the name of independent cinema as well as selling Troma movies at Cannes. And that movie is called All the Love You Can, made digitally for literally not one penny. And you can get that film in a number of American chain stores. That film has been on British television. We got some money from that. And so I think for you guys, learning the digital media is a great godsend, because that's clearly, if you can make an entertaining or a wonderful film, you can do for very little money what Hollywood now, I don't want to say Hollywood, I mean the international conspiracy, what they are doing for $80 million per movie. It costs the average movie that is coming out of the majors is $80 million. And it's boring and baby food, and people are brainwashed to see them, but people are very happy to see a movie where you have to think a little bit and where you actually might have some genuine emotion. So the wonderful world of digital technology, I think, will really free up the world of art and make it accessible for you, Tanya, to make movies so that you don't have to mortgage your house or donate a kidney to get your movie made.
And then we are a little bit close, very close to the first Charlie Chaplin's movie, or the first...
yeah, Rossellini after the war. Rossellini was making...
beginning of the cinema.
Yes, so let's hope so. Was it français?
Yeah.
Ah, d'accord. We just had a big event in France 2 days ago, Troma France, who are all fans and just spontaneously created a big event, and they did it at Fnac. They chose a mainstream venue, but we had all the Troma fans there, and I think we educated Fnac a little bit about independent art, and Fnac was very happy with it. And then afterwards there was a big party at Ile Enchantée in the 10th arrondissement, and it went for about 24 hours. And was many artists were there, and was both a party as well as poetry and wrestling and Toxic Avenger, and was quite stimulating. And anyway, we can look at maybe a little bit of pre-production, and maybe there's something here that will be of interest to you. By the way, how long does this masterclass go? What is when are we supposed to be finished? Because I don't want to use up too much time. Anybody know? Ah, perfect. That's well. No. Seriously, about what? About an hour? Do you think? Or, huh?
We get bored.
I know. Well, you're bored now, but what I'm saying is, I don't want to spend all the time on pre-production. I want to ration it out. So, what is about why don't we agree now that maybe an hour, and then if we want more, we can ask questions. And okay, so I'll ration things out. So, oh, what the heck's going on here? Hey, sorry. Maybe it'd be useful to see, to get a sense of how we cast, because we take a very long time doing it. And it's very important that you can already see from that little piece that everybody hates me, hates the movie, hates the project. And it's very important, though, that your cast be 100% behind you, because once you establish somebody in a film and they quit, it's very hard to get to the end of the film. So I try to shoot, when I'm directing, I try to shoot in sequence, so that if something interesting happens, you can rewrite. But if you shoot the end of the movie first, very hard to write somebody out of the movie that you've established at the end of the movie. So shooting in sequence, even though it presents production problems, I think makes a much better movie, and it's easier for your actors also. It gives your actors a chance for inexperienced young actors especially, shooting in sequence gives them an opportunity to in a linear fashion, to understand their characters. It's very difficult for the actors to film the death scene first and then the scene when they're born. It's much easier the other way around. Anyway, here's a little piece on the casting, because it's very hard to make a movie without cast. Who was anything here that looks interesting? When we make movies at Troma, we shoot on real locations. We prefer, or at least I do, prefer to shoot in a genuine location, because our films are rather out there. They're not really realistic. And if you have one foot in reality, the audience will go along a little better with you. And also, it's no matter how good a set that is built, no matter how good it is, the real thing, the real factory or the real liquor store or the real fast food restaurant always looks better than, at least to me, it always looks better than something that's made in Hollywood. If you're going to film a movie about an office worker, it's better to film in an office worker's home, the home of a genuine office worker, than something that was built in a studio, because it just never looks right. At any rate, you have to get permits. I don't know how it is here, but very often there are film commissioners around the country and offices that from whom you have to get permits. And in New York City, you can film anywhere for free, but you need to get permits, and you have to put on the permit what you're going to be doing in the scene. And we didn't do that. See what happens. Run away. We didn't do that. We had to have a scene in Terra Firma where a fat kid with a small penis is running naked through Times Square during the daylight hours, during sort of a tourist season. And our production manager was lazy, and rather than plan things out, he put on the paperwork, a man walks through Times Square. And you can see what happened. But in Terra Firma, Terra Firma is a movie that is kind of based on Troma filmmaking. And my first book, All I Need to Know About Filmmaking, I learned from The Toxic Avenger. In writing that first book, which was kind of history of Troma and philosophy of Troma, I got the idea that we should make a movie, that the theme of the independent artist and against the mainstream suffering and being crushed by the tidal wave, by the tsunami of Viacom, Time Warner, and General Electric, that might be an interesting theme. So at any rate, in Terra Firma, this fat kid is a production assistant. We use our production assistants as actors also, and in this particular one, our production assistant plays a production assistant who is supposed to be getting his head cast for special effects. When you get your head cast for a special effect, they put all this crap on your head, and it's liquid, and it creates a mold. But you have to sit there while your head is drying, while the liquid is drying into latex. You sit there and you cannot see or hear, or you're pretty helpless. Also, they make you remove your clothing because the stuff drips and ruins your clothes. So you're sitting there in the middle of some place, very vulnerable. And it happened to me for terra firma. I had to have my head cast, and while it was being done, I couldn't see or hear, or smell or speak really. And I was wondering what would happen if there's like a fire or an earthquake, and you know, what would I do? And so that's kind of the scene that happens in terra firma. There is the movie is being made, and the kid has got the head cast on his head, and he's fairly helpless, and then there's a crisis. So you can see what the scene is, and then you can see the result of bad planning or just not getting the wrong way to get a location. This masterclass is very abbreviated. I do these at universities and other organizations, and usually it's at least 2 hours, or sometimes it's an entire day. Sometimes it's 2 days. So we're kind of just skimming a few little areas of interest. Speaking of safety first, I don't want to show it, but the most important thing about trauma filmmaking are the 3 rules of production: safety to humans, safety to people's property, and then in much smaller letters, make a good movie. And we put these posters up all over the set, and in the bathrooms, and on the trucks, and in the food area. We put up those 3 rules of trauma production. And if you look at terra firma, if you watch the movie, you will see those posters are up everywhere, even in the fictional movie, because safety to humans is the most important thing. And you know that people have died on the Steven Spielberg movies. They've died, 2 children and Vic Morrow, for no reason, for absolutely no reason, and that would validate the movie. That would invalidate the movie. There's no purpose in killing people for something like Steven Spielberg.